Today, a one-of-a-kind year-end show as we look at how context is worth every minute. Today, a one-of-a-kind year-end show you're not going to want to miss a minute.
Hey there, every moment today is going to be worth your time.
And this is a special behind-the-scenes look at some of the most important stories of the year and why they matter.
And we're going to tell you how and why context tells the news the way it does.
And so, to help us do that, we're going to welcome a new guest to our on-air team of Context.
That's right. Now, this guy you hardly ever see because, well, he's usually behind the scenes. Our president and CEO, please welcome Jeff Grunwald.
Hey, Jeff. Good to have you come. As leader of this team, Jeff, we have waited a long time to get you on television.
Oh, I usually like to stay in the background, but it's good to be here with you, my heroes, Molly and Sheldon and Lorna. You guys are amazing, so thanks for welcoming me up here. So let me share a little known secret about Context. Context is not funded by government money. It's not funded by corporate money. It's not funded by advertising revenue. Our viewers get to see the program without advertising. It is funded by private donors. And that's why we're going to have a very special episode of Context today where we get to ask our viewers to participate financially in this great work called Context.
Now, I got to ask you guys a question. How many didn't know we needed financial support to keep Context going? You didn't know. This is new information to you. Show of hands. Wonderful, and this is the kind of why a show like this is so important. It's not often we see faith programs in the hot button issues, right in what affects our society, talking about some of the toughest subjects. Politics is often one of those things, and
it was a big story. Yeah, it was a big story for us this year, Sheldon, was covering politics, and Christian faith is often pushed to the sidelines, but at Context, we want to go right into there. Covering the faith angle is central to our mission here, and so those are some of the biggest stories around election time. And it's a little bit different when we do it as a Christian charity covering the political scene.
Well, it is. There's a few things we've got to keep in mind. Our broadcast regulator requires us to be fair. So in that run-up to the election, when we put that show together, we had guests from the three main political parties. We gave them all a chance to share some of their perspective. We also are seen to be potentially influential over certain voting blocks. I'm not sure that really is the case, but we're seen that way. So we had to be very careful in how we did it. But what we did do in this show, and as we do in all our programs, is we bring you the faith angle. We explored, in this case, what does it look like in politics?
Let's take a look at some of that programming you're talking about, Jeff. Here's what we did on our team here at Context TV.
You are the only member of Parliament to have successfully passed two private members' bill into law that changed the criminal code in Canada. You were groundbreaking on human trafficking and changing the game in Canada on that. Would you say the niggling of the Holy Spirit helped you in law passage?
Absolutely. You know, I didn't want to go to Parliament, but when my son did so much work on human trafficking, and I started working, as a police officer, and I started to work with the cops, with the victims, and I found out we had no laws in Canada. So I decided I would run for office and get those laws in, and it was just a direction I had to go.
If you're going to be in politics, you need to have a good theology of the cross. You're going to be persecuted in one way or another. People are going to call you names. People are going to try to make you look bad. People are going to not take what you're saying seriously, but try to caricature it.
It's a complicated relationship in politics, but I have described myself for many years now as an out-of-the-closet Christian. I don't think we need to hide the fact that we're people of faith. And the political aspect of faith is much more often associated with people, sadly, who tend to be intolerant. I think it's important to be able to talk to people who don't understand all the different permutations of faith, to say, look, the Jesus I know was inclusive.
Well, that's what I mean, Lorna. You just heard Christian faith expressed in that clip, nonpartisan, but true to the Christian faith.
And I was really excited what we could do in this political show because Molly, as a student, I loved it that we could bring in Jim Wallace, who's like, you know, he teaches so many schools down in the U.S. and up here in Canada. And he's kind of like the dean of thinking about faith and politics. What did you learn from your interview with Jim Wallace?
He was an amazing man, first of all. And, the thing that really stuck out to me that I'll never forget is that you cannot separate spirituality and social justice, that they always have to be intertwined. And then I guess for me, as a young person of faith, it's like, what does that mean? That means that I have to care about refugee issues. That means I have to care about, people affected by climate change. I have to care about racism. And we need to be on the front lines of those issues as Christians.
And we also have a lot of daily digital kind of news going out there through our website and social media. And Lorna, you took a look at faith and politics and discussion to a whole new level with your blog on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's own words about his Christian faith and how it highlighted his faith voice in that, and that could be available on our blog for those who haven't seen it already.
Yeah, that got a lot of traffic, didn't it? And this has been a push that you've been having with us, Jeff, is
Well, it's
online.
music to my own ears to hear our team talk about this, because yes, we do believe there's a huge audience in digital for the kind of content that we're building here at Context, and the Prime Minister's Faith blog was the record traffic piece on digital in the fall, and it's showing us that there is a whole new audience for this kind of content digitally.
All right, Molly, you have had a really fascinating look with us just the other week on Paris. And, the most trending hashtag that discussed and brought Paris' tragedy to the world was Pray for Paris. Tell us what it meant to cover that story from a Christian journalism perspective.
Such a huge story. And I think people need to remember that we're talking about a secular state here, a state that says, religion and public life have to be separate. But when you bring in a tragedy like this, you bring in so many more questions, and people, are starting to open up in a way that they've never seen before. And so I think we got to show that angle where pastors and leaders in the Paris community are seeing a change in their country, in their city. And I think that's a beautiful thing that's not being shown anywhere else.
Okay, Jeff, that is the kind of Christian journalism we want to do here.
Oh, exactly. That's the kind of reporting we do. That's the kind of perspective you just won't hear anywhere else. And I know I'm going to repeat it a lot in this show, so let's just start it right now. It is worth every minute. And we're going to ask our viewers to help us pay for that, because that's how that kind of journalism gets done.
All right, so I think we've got a 1-800 number here. Jeff, you know that number better than I do.
1-844-362-2798. People can participate by phoning us. You can go online on our website, contextwithlorna.com, click the donate button. You can send it by mail, or you can get in your pickup and drive down here.
And even the mail, for those who don't know, the address 250 Front Street West, Suite 1F 101, Toronto, Ontario, M5V, like Victor 3G5, Canada, for those who are writing.
All right, and you might be surprised at what happens when you connect your resources with Context Television. The ripple effects are very encouraging.
Well, and Lorna, I think that you had what you described as a career highlight recently.
I did. I said that to you guys. I went in and I said, this is worth doing this thing. This was a highlight for me because, we all know that the refugee story is one of the biggest ones we've had facing our globe. The most people on the move, 60 million looking for homes. And we have been using these stories on our program for actually the last 2 seasons. We've been trying to talk about the refugee crisis. But this past season alone, we were able to take the use of story, of audience, of refugees' needs. You put those 3 things together and take a look at what can happen. This is a beautiful reunion at the Toronto airport that I was able to be part of just a few weeks ago. And this is a Context TV match that was made. And so take a listen to Joanne Beach explain how it happened.
Without Context, doing a show on the Syrian crisis, without partnering with our sponsoring group, the Christian Missionary Alliance, without us being in the audience and networking with people who had friends and family in Jordan that were refugees, we never could have done this. And so thank you, Context. Thank you for caring about this issue. Thank you for letting the Canadian public know about the issue, because you have partnered us not only just with a family, but also with some of your donors who are funding this with our little church. So it's a multi-partnered adventure, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you so much.
Well, I loved seeing that happy reunion at the airport. It reminds me of what a friend of ours from the Middle East describes as hear the story, tell the story and change the story, and that's why it's worth every minute to us. It's powerful media influence.
Well, and long before we saw that sponsorship a few weeks ago and that happy airport welcome to Canada, Context was early out of the gate telling people about the refugee crisis in Iraq and Syria. And Molly, you took the risk, thank you for doing this for us, and you actually went into the war zone to bring us the story. And so we brought in someone who did this with you, Lindsay Gladding from World Vision. Welcome. Lindsay, what is the value of having a media agency like ours pick up the story with you on the field like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think being able to tell a story that no one else is telling. We all hear about ISIS and about the atrocities that are happening, and we're not really hearing that human story of what does that mean for a family that's had to flee? What does that mean for somebody who's just trying to make ends meet and to support their children?
I think what you do is also worth every minute. That's what we're calling this campaign. Because just remind us right now, you've been just recently back from Jordan. It's not getting better, is it?
It's not. I mean, and the situation will only continue to get worse, and until we get to a point where there's a political solution and people are able to return to Syria. People who are living in Jordan, a lot of those families have been there for 3-4 years. Resources have run out. People are not legally allowed to work, and so they're dependent on aid and on their children working the streets.
Well, Lindsay, we are glad that Molly could help put a media megaphone into your hand and into the hand of World Vision and tell people how they need to be part of helping people out like that.
And the Canadian government, of course, by the end of the year, until December 31st, Canadians can still be involved with organizations like World Vision, putting money into that because they're going to match dollar for dollar for anyone that's supporting the Syrian refugee cause. So I think it just brings in that importance at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, you can help us at home have world-changing stories like what you've been hearing. You can help be part of the counter message to help heal this world rather than to simply consume the media, just let it be something about buying and entertaining. No, we're calling this worth every minute. And for that reason, we are asking for your financial help to make this kind of journalism possible. And we do need your help. You can reach us by any of the means you see on the screen. Call us at 1-844-362-2798. Give online. You can go to contextwithlorna.com. You'll see a big donate button there. Just click on it and that'll take you right through a couple of steps. Or you can write to us at Post. Sheldon, you're our contact us guy. Yeah.
250 Front Street West, that's Suite 1F101, Toronto, Ontario. Let me give that postal code to you, M5V like Victor 3G5 Canada.
Well, coming up, when context gets controversial, that's next. Okay, so at Context, we don't mind creating boundary-breaking media. Boundary-breaking media that reveals Christ is our mission statement, and that often takes us to some controversial, some unexpected places. And I think Anne Rice was one of those guests, right, Jeff?
You talked to Anne Rice, Lorna, I mean, the queen of vampires. What did you learn from her?
Well, I'm not a vampire fiction reader, so I didn't understand that many, many millions of people are. And so here you have a woman who's got like multiple millions of books out there on these various vampire themes, but nowhere else is she able to discuss her other side. So that's her fiction side. But take a listen to this side of Anne Rice.
The Incarnation is the greatest love story I've ever heard. God comes down, is born with us, grows up with us, works with us, and then dies as we die, and then comes back to show us that we have immortal souls.
Well, what many people don't know is that Anne Rice speaks to the people who feel disenfranchised from organized religion, from being able to go to church, and people who are somewhat outside of traditional circles. And that's the kind of program we want to be, that makes a welcoming place for people to explore their spiritual questions. And listen to how Anne Rice describes that. And so you didn't leave Jesus.
No.
You didn't leave a relationship with God.
No, not at all.
It's our structure.
Also, it's fascinating to study 2,000 years of Christianity and note how it has genuinely evolved. Christianity is not the same today as it was in the 3rd century. It's different, and it's going to continue to evolve, but one of the problems you run into many times when you're dealing with your co-religionists is that they insist it's not evolving, it's not changing, it's always been the same, and you're out of step with it, and you should leave. But if you look at that history, if you look at the many ways that Christianity has expanded over the centuries, there's no doubt that it's going to continue to evolve, and we will see wonderful things in the future. We will see great changes in the future.
Well, at Context, we also like to keep things light sometimes. News can be serious business, so we need to laugh too, and humor is a gift from God. One of the funniest comics working today is Jim Gaffigan. He's the one with the whole routine on bacon and Hot Pockets. Google it, it's true. You'll love it. And he also wrote a book called, can you imagine this? Dad is Fat? A bestseller.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the funny man himself. Jim Gaffigan was right here on Context.
I do think that, at least in the United States, there is this culture war that I find very annoying. I don't want to be on a team. I just want to have my own kind of experience, and I don't want to subject it on somebody else.
So where did it switch for you if you grew up a secular Catholic and now God is very important to you? Where did it switch?
I think it was definitely my wife. But there's also, the notion of mercy is something that I need a lot of. You know what I mean? So it's like the logic around my spirituality or faith is it makes perfect sense to me. But if I even articulate it, it loses some of its power. I mean, I don't mind the fact that my tweets are sometimes churches will use them as an example, and sometimes atheist groups will use them as an example, because all it matters is what I was meaning by it.
Well, I mentioned it earlier in the program, but let me return there for a moment. It's that little-known fact that our viewers tend to be surprised when they hear that this program is only supported by private donors. It's not big corporate Canada, it's not government grants, it's not advertising. We don't run any commercials in the program. But what we can't do is we can't put the program on without you. And in my years of working at Context, this is the first time we've dedicated an episode of our program to asking you to participate. So this is really exciting. And so people are probably wondering, well, how much does it really cost to put Context on anyway? Are you ready, Lorna? It's about $50,000 a week. So that's a lot of cups of coffee. Let me break it down for you. A lot of people are needed to make that work. A lot of donors contribute from right across the country, and that's why we're inviting new donors to join us. And I've got a specific request for people to think about. Could you join us for a gift of $50 or $100 a month? A monthly donor is someone who gives every month, and that just makes all the difference here. If you couldn't do it that way, could you join us with perhaps a one-time gift? We need your help. And so you can call now to become a monthly supporter, maybe make a one-time gift. And of course, the gift that you give now at this time of year, it's entirely tax deductible before the end of the year. So best to call now. Find the numbers on the screen as we talked about. Write us, go online and make your gift that way. Most of all, remember that your gift helps ensure that we can continue to bring you more stories that reveal Christ and show God at work in the world. And if you believe that Context is worth every minute, then we need you. So reach us anytime by means of the numbers you see on the screen. Call us at 1-844-362-2798. Go ahead and give online at contextwithlorna.com. Use the donate button. And you can write to us at Context with Lorna Duick, 250 Front Street West, Suite 1F101, Toronto, Ontario. Call us, write us, give online. Use the numbers on your screen and stay tuned.
Well, and I want to introduce one of those extraordinary leaders making a difference on a big flashpoint issue in society today. Please welcome Janet Nolan. Janet is the CEO of Christian Horizons. You help out with disabled Canadians. Thank you, Janet. Molly, Jeff.
Molly, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
See you, Jeff.
We wanted to talk with you, Janet, about physician-assisted suicide. Huge story.
Absolutely.
And as you saw this new challenge come out of the Supreme Court of Canada, a need for a new law that would allow Canadians the right to ask their doctors to kill them upon request. Why were you so concerned as the CEO of a place that handles adults with developmental disabilities?
Thanks, Lorna. The reality is that in jurisdictions where these laws have come into place, they've had unintended consequences, and people with disabilities have been caught up in decisions that affect their life, for sure. And we're very concerned that that's what's going to happen in Canada.
So we did a whole show with you on this and with your community. What's the impact of that for you?
Well, it was great to raise it to a national conversation. We hope that your show inspired conversations right across this land so that people contributed to the focus groups and through the survey to share their concerns about how this law might affect people with disabilities.
And put your community of caregiving for disabled Canadians into the spotlight on an important moral and ethical issue.
Absolutely, and we hope that not only that issue continues to be a national conversation, but there's so many issues affecting people with disabilities, employment, education, opportunity to contribute, and just really appreciate context in allowing us to be a part of that conversation.
Well, we always love having your stories, your community needs. Janet, thank you for all the work you do, and thank you also for your support for us here at Context.
You're most welcome.
Well, it's really important that the Christian voice be heard in the public square.
That's right, Jeff. I mean, we have to see how the good news of Jesus really translates into the common good of our entire country.
Well, that's right. And looking back over the past year, that's come up many times in both our weekly broadcasts and in our daily digital content that you can access online. Stories like that of Pastor Lim, a Canadian-Korean pastor who now has been imprisoned for 10 months in North Korea.
Another story that got a lot of feedback was on the Christian university that wanted to start a law school, Trinity Western University, of course, and we covered that. And we also talked about the Toronto group that wanted to set up a concert in a public square and was denied entry. I mean, those are the conversations that people are talking about.
Well, that's right. And Context gets to shine a light on those kinds of stories that help to protect religious freedom for all Canadian citizens. And I have to say it again, that is worth every minute. So thank you for paying attention to what we do here at Context, for watching our program, and for contributing.
Okay, well, next we're going to go to some team highlights on why what we do at Context is worth every minute, and it is worth your financial support. Thank you for helping us. Well, we're just about to say goodbye today on our Worth Every Minute episode. And thank you for helping us at Context do what we do every week of the year. But let's talk about us as a team. Molly, you know, tell us, why is it worth your investment of your career to be helping out here at Context?
I think, you know, we serve a global God that cares about what happens in Canada, but also cares about what happens abroad. And when we have a chance, you know, to cover some of the biggest stories in the world by being in Paris or being in Iraq or being in Jordan, I mean, that only happens because people fund us to do that. And we can only be in those places telling those unique stories when people give towards what we do. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. And that's why I'm here. That's why I think it's important.
All right. Sheldon, you know, you came to us from, you worked on a couple of shows at the CBC, you were in news, you've got a great ministry career as a pastor, but why is it worth investing your time here at Context now?
Well, like you said, Lauren, I think what's interesting about my experience, I can say I've had an opportunity, like you said, to work at news and also in music and minister to young audiences. And the point I see is that everyone's looking for solutions to world issues within their family, the world around them, abroad. And I think what's interesting about Context is we're able to bring what that solution is. That no, it may not be in political systems, it's in God, a higher power. No matter what your background, political stripe, we're able to bring a solution to the problems that are abroad and here.
Wow, okay. Jeff, why is it worth every minute to you?
As a young person, I encountered Christian faith. It radically changed my life as I got serious about my faith and saw the difference that it was making as every area of my life became shaped by that faith. It is the greatest story ever told. That is something that I can get excited about. I'm still excited about it. And I just want that message of Christ's love for the world to go as wide and as far as possible. And that's why I'm thrilled that we get to ask our donors to participate with us, ask our viewers to become donors, so that that story can go even further.
You know, and we're a team, you at home, us here at Context, and what our passion is to make God known in Canada and beyond. We're delighted that the show is getting picked up all over the place. And if you can see your way to help us on our year-end ask, we would love to do that. So you can contact us. We have a phone number that's just dedicated for this special year-end giving. It is 1-844-362-2798. And you can give us a gift there. You can give online at contextwithlorna.com. Just click on, you'll see the donate button there and easily make a donation that way. Or you can write to us at Post. Sheldon, you're our contact us guy. Yeah.
250 Front Street West, that's Suite 1F101, Toronto, Ontario. Let me give that postal code to you, M5V like Victor, 3G5, Canada.
So for all of us, for those of us here on set, Molly, Sheldon, Jeff, it's been great to work with us all together.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, and thank you for helping us create Christian media that is worth every minute. Every minute. Okay, all right. Way to go, Sheldon. Yeah, thank you. It's great.
That kind of reporting you see in our episodes reveals the faith story you will not hear on other programs. It is carefully created, purchased, and paid for by people who understand Christian thought and the importance of faith in our lives. That's why today I'm asking for your financial help to make this kind of journalism possible. It's that little-known fact that this program is only supported by private donors, and we can't do it without you. Call now and become a monthly supporter or make a one-time gift. Your gift will help ensure that we can continue to bring you more stories that reveal Christ and show God at work in the world. If you believe Context is worth every minute, then we need your support. You can reach us by any of the means you see on the screen, and thank you.